An unexpected message. Dr. Maya Okafor rubbed her tired eyes and stared at the data scrolling across her monitor. 3 days without proper sleep had left her exhausted, but she couldn't tear herself away from the readings. The Deep Space Monitoring Initiative facility in the Atacama Desert was one of humanity's most sophisticated listening posts, designed to scan the cosmos for any sign of intelligent life. For 7 years, Maya had heard nothing but cosmic background radiation and the occasional pulsar beat. Until now. Dr. Okafor, the pattern recognition software, just flagged another sequence. Lin Chen, her postdoctoral student, handed her a fresh tablet displaying the series of waveforms. It's the same signal structure, but with variations in the embedded data packets. Maya nodded, examining the readout with growing excitement. This isn't random noise. The mathematical precision is extraordinary. What had begun as an anomalous blip 3 days ago had evolved into something far more significant. The signal originated from somewhere in the vicinity of Taw City, about 12 light-years from Earth. Unlike the random background noise of space, this transmission contains specific patterns, prime number sequences, mathematical constants, and what appeared to be encoded data packets of immense complexity. "Have you told anyone else?" Maya asked, glancing around the nearly empty monitoring room. The graveyard shift meant only a skeleton crew was present. Lin shook her head. "Just you for now. I wanted to be certain." Maya swiveled in her chair to face the large display wall. "Let's run a full spectrum analysis and begin decryption protocols." "And Lin," she added with a small smile, "I think we should call in the team. All of them." Within hours, the facility hummed with activity. Scientists and specialists from around the world connected remotely, while the local team gathered in the main conference room. The air was electric with possibility. "The signal repeats precisely every 47 minutes, explained Dr. Hiroshi Takeda, their signals analysis expert. "But each repetition contains subtle variations that we believe constitute a communication protocol." He brought up a visualization of the signal structure on the main screen. It's like they're trying different frequencies and encoding methods, systematically working through possibilities. "As if they're not sure who might be listening," added Maya, "or what technology the receiver might have." Dr. Eliza Santos, the team's linguist, leaned forward. "If this is a message, it's not meant for random discovery. This is targeted communication, but the targeting parameters are strange. It's like they're whispering to someone standing right next to us." "What do you mean?" asked the facility director, who had flown in overnight. "The signal is precisely calibrated to pass through Earth's atmosphere and ionosphere with minimal degradation," Eliza explained. "It uses gaps in our electromagnetic noise to ensure maximum clarity. Yet the encoding is like nothing we've ever seen. It's not made for human understanding." For 2 weeks, the team worked relentlessly. Government agencies worldwide monitored their progress with growing interest, and Maya found herself briefing increasingly high-level officials as the days passed. The United Nations formed a special committee on extraterrestrial communication, while debates raged about whether to respond. The breakthrough came when Lin discovered a pattern within the mathematical sequences that seemed to function as a primer, a key to understanding the alien language embedded in the signal. "It's ingenious," Maya explained during an emergency meeting of the UN committee. "The signal contains a self-teaching mechanism. Once we recognize the pattern, we could begin to extract meaning from the data packets." "And what is that meaning, Dr. Okafor?" asked the committee chair. Maya took a deep breath. "It appears to be coordinates, technical specifications, and what we believe is a distress call." The room erupted in murmurs. When silence returned, Maya continued. "We've identified references to stellar instability and what translates roughly as critical evacuation scenario. Something is happening in the Taw City system, something catastrophic." "If it's a distress call, who is supposed to receive it?" asked the representative from China. "That's where it gets interesting," Maya replied. The signal was calibrated to reach Earth, but it wasn't meant for us. The transmission contains identification markers for a civilization or entity called, this is our best translation, the Guardians of the Seventh Harmony. According to the message, they were supposed to have an outpost somewhere in our solar system, possibly in the Kuiper Belt. Are you saying aliens have been watching us? Demanded the American representative. If they were, they're long gone now, Maya answered. Based on orbital references in the signal, this outpost was expected to be active about 30,000 years ago. Whoever sent this message doesn't realize their intended recipients aren't here anymore. The debate about how to proceed divided not just the committee but the entire world. Some argued that humanity should remain silent. This was not our conversation to join. Others insisted that ethical obligation demanded we respond to a distress call, regardless of its intended recipient. Military leaders warned of the dangers of revealing Earth's location to unknown entities. Religious groups around the world split on whether the message represented a divine test or a demonic trick. Scientists predominantly advocated for response, seeing an unprecedented opportunity for advancement. As weeks passed without decision, Maya grew increasingly frustrated. Every day we delay could mean lives lost. She argued during a heated video conference with global leaders. If we were stranded in space, sending distress calls, wouldn't we hope that someone, anyone, would answer? That's precisely the problem, Dr. Okafor, replied the Secretary General. We would be answering a call not meant for us, potentially involving ourselves in a situation we don't understand and cannot control. The official decision, when it finally came, was to continue monitoring but not to respond, at least not yet. More study was needed, more caution was advised. Maya received the news in her office, seated before the screens that displayed the now familiar signal patterns. She had come to recognize the mathematical beauty in them, the desperate hope they contained. They said no, didn't they? Lynn asked from the doorway. They said, not yet, which means the same thing, Maya replied, not looking away from the screen. For a species facing what appears to be an existential threat, our bureaucratic timeline might as well be a no. Lynn entered the office and closed the door behind her. What are you going to do? Maya finally turned to face her colleague. The DSMI was established to search for extraterrestrial intelligence. We found it. Our mandate includes establishing communication protocols in the event of discovery. The governments have specifically ordered. They've ordered the United Nations response team not to send an official message, Maya interrupted. They haven't explicitly forbidden scientific communication from our facility as part of our ongoing research. Lynn's eyes widened. That's a dangerous technicality. Maybe. Maya turned back to her console and began typing. But I've spent my entire life preparing for this moment. I'm not going to let fear prevent us from doing what's right. She paused, hands hovering over the keyboard. You don't have to be part of this, Lynn. I can enter the final commands myself. Lynn was silent for a long moment before sliding into the chair beside Maya. What are we sending them? For the next several hours, the two scientists worked to craft humanity's first deliberate message to an extraterrestrial civilization. They built upon the mathematical language embedded in the original signal, acknowledging receipt of the distress call and explaining that the intended recipients were no longer present. They included basic information about Earth and humanity, took pains to express peaceful intentions, and offered assistance if possible. This goes against everything we've been told about first contact protocols, Lynn said as they prepared the final transmission package. The protocols were written for scenarios where we initiate contact, Maya replied. No one predicted we'd intercept a call for help meant for someone else. She glanced at her colleague. Last chance to walk away. Lynn shook her head. Send it. Maya executed the command sequence that would direct the facility's most powerful transmitter toward Ta City. The message would take 12 years to reach its destination, and any response would take another 12 years to return. 24 years of waiting, assuming anyone was still alive to receive it. Now we wait, Lin whispered. No, Maya replied, already drafting an email to the facility director explaining what she had done. Now we face the consequences, and we prepare. Because if they're still out there, if they're still alive, they'll answer. She was right, but not in the way anyone expected. 3 weeks later, as Maya faced disciplinary hearings for her unauthorized transmission, astronomical observatories around the world detected something impossible, a massive object decelerating as it entered the solar system. It had appeared seemingly out of nowhere, as if it had been there all along but only now chose to be seen. The message that followed, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect English, stunned the world. To the unexpected voices from the third planet, we have heard you. We had not known you existed. We come with gratitude and urgent need. We are the Luminary, and we require your help. The unexpected alliance. The Luminary vessel hung in Earth's orbit like a crystalline snowflake, refracting sunlight in prismatic patterns across its surface. At nearly 3 kilometers in diameter, it was visible to the naked eye from the planet's surface, a new star that moved deliberately against the familiar constellations. Dr. Maya Okafor stood in the United Nations Assembly Hall in New York, still struggling to process how quickly everything had changed. 1 month ago, she had been facing criminal charges for unauthorized communication with an alien civilization. Today, she was humanity's primary liaison to that same civilization. They were already here, she explained to the assembled representatives, her voice carrying through the crowded hall. The Luminary ship was traveling through our system in some form of stealth mode when they detected our response to their signal. They weren't expecting anyone to answer. The delegates murmured among themselves. Ever since the Luminary arrival 2 weeks ago, the world had been in a state of shocked wonder. Global conflicts had paused as humanity collectively held its breath, waiting to understand what this first contact meant. According to Captain Cheryl, Maya continued, referring to the Luminary commander with whom she had been in regular communication, their ship utilizes a technology that allows them to exist partially out of phase with our reality, invisible and intangible, which is how they've managed to cross vast distances of space. And they just happened to be passing through our system when you sent your unauthorized response. Asked the American representative skeptically. Not exactly, Maya replied. They'd been systematically searching neighboring star systems for years, broadcasting their distress signal as they travel. They were preparing to enter a hibernation state for the long journey to the next potential system when they detected our transmission. The Secretary General leaned forward. Dr. Okafor, perhaps you could clarify for everyone, who exactly are these guardians of the seventh harmony that were supposed to receive their message? Maya nodded. The Luminary have provided us with historical data. The Guardians were an advanced species that maintained outposts throughout this sector of the galaxy approximately 30,000 years ago. They served as mediators and protectors for developing civilizations. Their outpost in our solar system was located on what we now call Sedna, at the edge of the Oort cloud. It was abandoned long before humans developed advanced civilization. So they've known about Earth for 30,000 years? Asked someone from the back. They knew there was a developing biosphere here, Maya corrected, but they had no record of intelligent life evolving. Our emergence was unexpected. The revelation that Earth had once been monitored by an ancient alien civilization had profound implications for human history and religion, but there was a more pressing concern. What exactly do they want from us? Asked the Chinese representative. Maya took a deep breath. Their home system is being consumed by what they call a reality decay, something like a localized collapse of space-time. Their world will be completely gone within 5 years. The Luminary sent distress signals to all known Guardian outposts, hoping to find refuge. They're asking for asylum, and for help saving what remains of their civilization. The assembly erupted in voices. When order was finally restored, Maya was permitted to continue. Captain Cheryl has invited a delegation to board their vessel. They wish to explain their situation in detail and discuss potential collaboration. They believe that human perspectives might offer solutions their own scientists haven't considered. Why would they think that? Asked the Russian representative. By their own admission, they're thousands of years more advanced than we are. Maya smiled slightly. That's exactly why. The Luminary have existed as a spacefaring civilization for over 50,000 years. Their thinking has become structured, predictable. They're hoping that our young minds, as they put it, might approach problems from angles they haven't considered. 2 days later, Maya found herself aboard the Luminary vessel, along with a carefully selected international team of scientists, diplomats, and military observers. The ship's interior defied human architectural expectations. Spaces flowed organically into one another. Surfaces shifted in response to inhabitants' needs, and light seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Captain Isherl stood nearly 2 meters tall, with a slender frame that appeared almost fragile. Their skin had a translucent quality that revealed shadowy movements of internal structures. Multiple pairs of eyes, arranged vertically along what humans would consider a face, blinked independently as they observed the human delegation. We have existed in isolation for millennia. Isherl explained in a melodic voice that the ship's systems translated. The Guardians were our only contact with other intelligent species. When the reality decay began consuming our outer colonies, we sought their help, not knowing they had withdrawn from this sector of space long ago. The captain led them to what appeared to be a command center, where a holographic display showed their home system. At the center, where a star should have been, was a distortion, a writhing darkness that seemed to devour light itself. It began as a small anomaly, explained Feliz, the Luminary chief scientist. We believe it was triggered by one of our experimental energy generation systems. By the time we realized what was happening, the decay had become self-sustaining. It consumes matter, energy, space itself, breaking down the fundamental laws of physics in an expanding sphere. Like a physics cancer, murmured Dr. Hiroshi Takeda, examining the hologram with fascination. Felice tilted their head in what Maya had come to recognize as an expression of agreement. An apt analogy. We've evacuated as many as we could. Approximately 6 million of our people are in suspended animation aboard this vessel and 2 others. But billions more remain in the system, protected temporarily by containment fields that grow weaker each day. You're looking for a new homeworld? Asked one of the diplomats. Not exactly, replied Isherl. We seek knowledge, a way to stop the decay before it consumes our entire system. Our scientists have tried everything within our understanding of physics. Dr. Elena Volkov, a Russian quantum physicist, studied the data flowing across one of the alien displays. Have you attempted to counter-resonate the quantum field at the decay boundary? She asked suddenly. The Luminary scientists exchanged glances that Maya couldn't interpret. We've considered field stabilization, Felice replied, but the decay actively breaks down any coherent energy pattern we introduce. What about incoherent patterns? Asked Dr. James Wu, an American chaos theorist who had been quietly observing. Structured randomness specifically designed to be unpredictable, even to the system generating it. A ripple of movement passed through the Luminary present, their version of surprise murmuring. We had not considered that approach, admitted Felice. Our mathematical models rely on predictable harmonics. That might be the problem, Elena said, growing animated. If this decay feeds on patterns, then introducing anti-patterns, mathematically derived chaos, might disrupt its ability to maintain coherence. For the next several weeks, human and Luminary scientists worked together, developing what Elena called quantum chaos therapy. Human mathematicians and physicists brought fresh perspectives to problems the Luminary had considered unsolvable, while the aliens provided technological capabilities that humanity had only dreamed of. Maya found herself in the unusual position of mediator between species, helping translate not just words but entire conceptual frameworks. The Luminary thought in harmonies and resonances, humans in conflicts and resolutions. Together, they began to create something entirely new. "It's beautiful," Maya said one day, watching the simulation of their proposed solution. "Humanity's chaotic creativity combined with luminary precision." "There is something remarkable about your species," HFY observed. "You think in ways that would never occur to us. You see connections we miss because they appear disharmonious to our sensibilities." "Will it work?" Maya asked, nodding toward the simulation. "The models suggest a 64% probability of success," Felice replied, "higher than any solution we had developed independently." "Those aren't great odds," Maya noted. "They're the best odds we have," HFY said simply. "And with each passing day, they diminish." The plan required technological components that didn't exist on Earth and scientific expertise that few humans possessed. But as news of the collaboration spread, something unexpected happened. Humanity united with singular purpose. Nations shared resources and knowledge. Scientists worked around the clock. Manufacturing facilities were retooled to produce components designed by Luminary engineers. 3 months after the Luminary arrival, the implementation phase began. The alien vessel departed Earth orbit, carrying with it a team of human scientists who had volunteered despite knowing they might never return. Maya was among them. "You understand the risks?" Lin asked during their final communication before the Luminary ship moved beyond real-time transmission range. "I do," Maya replied. "But someone needs to represent humanity, to ensure our perspective remains part of the solution." She smiled at her friend through the screen. "Besides, I started this. I should see it through." The journey to the Luminary system took just 6 weeks, thanks to the aliens' partial phase technology. As they emerged into normal space at the edge of the system, Maya got her first direct view of the reality decay, a roiling darkness that had consumed the inner planets and was steadily expanding outward. "It's worse than our projections," Felice said quietly. "We may have only days before the containment fields fail completely." What followed was a desperate race against time. Human-designed chaos generators were deployed at strategic points around the decay perimeter, each programmed to produce unpredictable quantum fluctuations that would, theoretically, disrupt the decay's expansion pattern. The first attempts failed spectacularly, the decay seeming to adapt to and consume the interruptions. But with each failure came new data, new insights, and rapid modifications to the approach. "It's learning," realized Dr. Wu, watching the decay's response patterns. "It's behaving like a complex adaptive system." "Then we need to make it learn the wrong lessons," Alina suggested. "Create false patterns for it to adapt to, then hit it with the real disruption when it's vulnerable." The final attempt came as the last containment fields were collapsing. Billions of Luminary lives hung in the balance as the combined human-alien team executed their most sophisticated plan yet, a carefully choreographed sequence of deceptions and genuine attacks on the fabric of the decay. For 3 tense hours, nothing seemed to happen. Then, gradually, instruments began to detect a change. The decay's expansion slowed, then stopped. Pockets of normal space began to reappear within the darkness as the anomaly started to consume itself. "It's working," whispered Felice, their normally melodic voice tight with emotion. Within days, the decay had been reduced to a contained anomaly less than a kilometer in diameter, which the Luminary encased in multiple layers of stabilized spacitime, a permanent prison for the phenomenon that had nearly destroyed their civilization. As the Luminary began the long process of rebuilding, Captain HFY approached Maya with a formal request. "Our Council of Harmonies has met," they said. "We wish to establish permanent diplomatic relations with Earth. More than that, we wish to propose an alliance." "An alliance?" Maya echoed, surprised. "Between our worlds." "Your people heard a call not meant for them, and they answered anyway," HFY said. "You brought chaos to our ordered thinking when we needed it most. Perhaps the Guardians are gone, but in your species, we see something equally valuable, a willingness to help without obligation, to innovate without constraint." When the Luminary vessel returned to Earth 6 months after its departure, it carried not just the human scientists who had helped save an alien civilization, but the beginning of a new chapter in cosmic history. The signal hadn't been meant for humans, but humanity had answered anyway, and in doing so, had earned its place among the stars. As Maya stepped off the shuttle that returned her to Earth's surface, she looked up at the night sky with new eyes. Somewhere out there, the Luminary were rebuilding their world and rewriting their ancient texts to include a new ally. A young species from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star, who heard a whisper in the dark and chose to answer. The universe, Maya now knew, was far from empty. It was filled with voices calling across the vastness of space. Some were meant for human ears, and some were not. But humanity's greatest strength might be its willingness to listen to them all.